Welcome back to Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witzak.
My name is Rory Farrell.
And today we have a familiar face back on the podcast.
Jack Delaney.
Yeah, baby. And who are you with now?
Rarity.
Rarity Real Estate. Yeah, buddy. 215. Shout out to 215. Last time we saw you, we were over in Jersey doing a couple podcasts. You had just randomly been there. I've been wanting to get you on the podcast. We popped on for a quick 15 minutes, and we always said we got to get you back on. We got to get you back on.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited. And then obviously we've been in the gym. 7 a.m. Evolve Fitness.
Yeah,
Shout out to the gym community.
Dude, shout out Evolve, man. I love that community so much. Jack was the one that got me to go to CrossFit. I went to CrossFit. I couldn't move my arms for like 3 days. And then I'm like, screw it. Let's go back. Like, get me signed up. So the next time I went back, I signed right up, and then we've been going ever since.
Yeah, it stinks pretty good.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
He's looking small, though, right? He hasn't been there in a while.
I have.
Him and me both.
Dude.
With CrossFit comes injury.
Yes. Yeah.
CrossFit comes
Well, if you go hard.
Yeah.
If you go hard.
Yeah.
We go hard.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of old people in my gym. We don't go that hard.
You're in the gym, though. You're in the gym early.
6 or 5 this morning.
5?
Yeah.
We went 5 this morning.
I was up in there by like 5:15-ish.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. What time did you get up?
5.
Wait. Hold
The
on.
gym's like 5 minutes away. I get up, brush my teeth, and I'm there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Damn, dude. Holy shit.
I feel like that's like what I'm beginning to realize. Like, I almost wish there was like a sweet spot for the gym.
Yes.
Because I wish there was like a 6 o'clock class.
That's
like for us, it's either 5:30 or 7. But I wish there was a 6 because that's like
the perfect spot.
Yeah.
6 is when the class starts. I get there early to work on stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like 5, 5:15, 5:30, I'm there, and then by 6,
Yeah,
Because I love going to our gym, so I suck up the 7 a.m. class because 7 a.m. ends at like 8:05, and then by the time I'm showered, I got everything packed up, ready to go, I roll in here like 9:15. I want to be in here like 8:30 sometimes, just to like get the day going.
Yeah, 6 a.m. is good.
Yeah, so it's like 6 a.m., 6:30 would be perfect, yeah. But they have those like HIIT classes or whatever they do in between.
The only thing, literally it's the only time I can go because my kids are up by 7:15.
Yeah.
So like I got to be home by like 7:05.
Yeah.
And ready to move.
Right.
Like coffee's going, kids are getting up, and then the next 2 hours are
Right.
screwed
And
for
like
me.
Mike was saying, like even and like just being in the industry too, right? Like the majority of your day starts when?
Oh, in the morning, yeah.
And then the afternoon is appointments and stuff like that.
Showings,
Trying
yeah.
to make sure you're blocking time to do those things. Like, so if you want to be, I feel like the short period that I've been in business, right? Like, I have to get up and get that stuff. If my morning routine is off, the rest of my day's off.
I totally
sure.
agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's
Not only that, like, this is now a CrossFit podcast, but if the workout gets me ready for the day, because it like sets my mind right. Like I already did something hard, my mind's clear, and then just kind of move on with the rest of the day.
Yeah, and it I don't know. It just calms me down too. It makes me feel a lot better, just like smooth sail through the day when I hit a hard workout. And I noticed when I went to a couple 5:30 classes just to like see if I can get to that routine. And sluggish. And I always feel like when I go early in the morning to the gym, I can never lift as much weight as I can when I'm like awake for an hour and have been moving around. I feel like just so much weaker. Yeah. So also too, all right, this will be the last CrossFit thing we talk about. Did you see Nick? I sent it to him yesterday. What did he do? He pulled and he clean jerked like 275.
Power clean, like a
275 and then overhead pressed it.
push press.
Push pressed it. That's it. Yeah. He wasn't still, but he.
Dude,
he threw it up.
athlete, dude. He's cheating.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear how strong he is. You get it, dude. You get
It's a different human.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Yeah, he really is.
He's a great guy. It's my boy.
Oh, dude, I love Nick. Yeah, he's funny as hell.
A little closer.
So,
but also though, as part of that, like you can it is a community. Like just in general, CrossFit is a community. That's what they're built off of. So like building that into business, partnerships and clients and stuff, and you build a trust when you're there every morning.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And not even if it's like people from the gym, but you just get involved in the community so much more with going to the, like, that's why I signed up for rugby. That's why I signed up ultimately for CrossFit. Was like, look, my family grew up in the city, but they grew up in Port Richmond, and I moved out when I was like 8 years old. So all my connections are old people my dad's friends with. So it's not anything that I'm like really getting along with or jiving well. Like I go see them, I pay my respects, say hello, whatever. But they're not people I'm like calling up and saying, hey, what's going on? Let's go out, grab drinks. So to get involved in the community more, it's like Evolve was there, rugby was there, all these like teams. So I just kind of signed up and grew my connections to the city, and it's ultimately helped my business as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, and I think when you talk about it like from the team aspect, right? for newer agents, right? Like guys like myself, right?
Yep.
Making sure I'm surrounding myself with the right people, and I've done. I've had the privilege of being surrounded by a lot of great people throughout, the past year and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From even the guys at Remax, like Frankie Graybon and Matt Albright. Like Matt Albright was a huge part of the reason I even decided to do this.
Yeah.
And then from there to TCS, and then from TCS to Rarity. You know what I mean, Devin still the Wednesday morning call. Like that's my guy, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tommy Wenger, all them dudes, Johnny Byrne.
It's cool that you guys still have that connection through that group that you guys do.
Yeah. It's awesome, and that's just every Wednesday 7 a.m. You got to be there, and it's a good accountability check-in too, and I try to make sure that's a staple in my week every week.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And now with being talk about finding that camaraderie, this has translated my entire life, right? I know we talked a little bit the last time about the steam fitters and my sobriety and stuff like that. And when I first got sober, it was find the guys that are doing the right thing, find the guys that are staying involved and actually doing this thing, and chances are you're going to succeed, right? And that's what I did. For the first 90 days, I stuck around with guys who were like that. I found myself sitting here almost 9 years later.
Yeah.
Right. The union, same ordeal. I found myself in it. I surrounded myself with guys. I showed up. I worked hard, and I surrounded myself with the guys that were doing the same thing. And my career changed there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The accountability seems like the theme in your life, right?
Yeah. And I think it's big. Dude, even on the job site, I was always the locker room guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always the locker room guy. In the classroom, 5 years of my apprenticeship, made sure that everyone was always in some type of good spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just translated into this as well. And I feel that's, at Rarity, that's kind of what I found. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And it's super important in this business too, because if you don't have that in your office, right? If I didn't have the camaraderie we have here, I say this all the time and I'll say it until the day I die, is that I would have left this industry 3 years ago when shit really hit the fan. It was tough. But it's when you got people showing up every day, you got people hammering the phones. You might not even be closing deals right then and there, but you see everybody doing it, and you're like, oh, I gotta start doing what they're doing. I gotta keep up with them, and it's competition, and it's friendly though, and you get along with everybody, and everybody's in good spirits. It just makes your life so much easier, because this job can get really hard and get really depressing really quick. So it's you might have a $400,000-$500,000 house under contract, inspections come back, they're bad, you're in this market, you're like, crap, I gotta get back out there. But you see all these people in the office banging out phone calls and holding you accountable for what you're doing. You're like, all right, screw it, get back up and dust off your shoulders, whatever. Yeah, dude. And that's been the coolest part about my time since I've joined Rarity, is learning all these new things and learning these new ways to get your name out there, get new business, right? And do stuff like that, and cold calling. Oh yeah,
buddy.
You like cold calling?
Nobody
loves cold calling.
Now I love it. I love cold calling now. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what, my first week there, I walk in and I tell everybody, it's like the Wolf of Wall Street of real estate. You know what I mean? You walk in and it's just
we got to go check out. Oh, you've been there, right?
I've been there. No, it's like that. Yeah. It's like that.
Dude, it's awesome. You know what I mean? And, dude, I remember walking in and I'm like, I never did a script. I never did a role play. I never did none of this, dude. And I'm just like, hey, give me numbers. I'm pulling this. I don't even know who I'm calling. I'm calling them. And dude, I remember probably the first dozen phone calls or so, I start trying to leave voicemails. And I'm leaving voicemails, and I have no idea what I'm leaving a voicemail about, right? And halfway through the voicemail, I'm like, fuck. And I'm and then I'm hanging up. You know what I mean? Delete. Yeah. And I hung on the phone. The one I hung on the phone because you know how you get to a certain point and it's you might be able to re-record.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm 3 minutes down the line. And I'm like, this ain't happening. And I'm like, shit.
That's a burn phone number.
Yeah, they say press 5 to re-record your message.
I know. I'm
never hits.
I'm hitting all these buttons. It's
that's so funny.
Yeah, but now it's been good, and it's because I mentioned a couple names earlier, and guys in my office role playing and doing those things in practice. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and just getting on the phones too, and leaving those horrible voicemails. I remember my first phone call here. Tom gave me a realtor's number to call. He's like, "Yo, call this realtor," and I'm like, "Okay." So I call this realtor, and I'm like you said, halfway through, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to say to this lady? So I'm talking to her. I'm like, yeah, so, and she's like, do you want me to try and send you guys business? I was like, that's exactly what I'd like. And she's like, all right, yeah, keep your name. Like every older thing, like, yeah, we'll put your name on the list, man. No problem. I'm like, oh, great, cool. And I hung the phone up. I was like, that was so embarrassing. I was like, dude. And then just, you fumble like that for a while and you get your kind of jive or whatever it is, your groove that you got to figure out. But I mean, you guys are dialed in though down there. I know that you've, like you're saying, scripts, role playing. We don't do much of that because we're not cold calling as often. We're trying to kind of set up appointments or get people in like this to meet them in person. But that's ultimately what your goal is, right? When you're cold calling, it's like, hey, can I set up an appointment with you to maybe appraise your home or look at things like that? That's your goal.
And I think look, I think you take it from an approach of like, I'm trying to provide a service to somebody, right? And I think the first part of like the whole cold call situation, which for me was like a tough barrier to break because like I don't have a good time when you feel like it's ingenuine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So like,
and they know too. If you're ingenuine, they're gonna know. It's gonna read.
And dude, like I am who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is. And I think like that from that initial like, hey, this is Jack Delaney from Keller Williams. Like the initial intro, right, to like breaking down and trying to find like a vulnerable spot where we can relate to some extent, right? Mm-hmm. Once you can get there with somebody, then it becomes like, hey, listen, like, is there any way? Is there an itch you need scratched? Like, is there any way I can help you, right? And I feel like when you take that approach to anything in life, it becomes a lot more genuine, a lot more,
Yeah.
I'm trying, you know what I mean? Like
takes a guard down, it like help and just shows them like genuinely, I'm just trying to help you out.
Right.
I'm not
if I can.
Yeah, if I can.
Right. I'm not trying I'm never trying to put myself in a position where I'm trying to force anybody's hand.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not going, you need to buy this. This is something you need to do right now. You're just like, hey, look, if you're thinking about selling your home or you're interested in this X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, like I'm here. I'm willing to help you if you want that service, and you let me know the time and date, and I'll be there. It's like just that's really what it boils down to. But and have you seen success with doing this? Like, has it been,
dude? Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
You know what I mean? Like, I had some pretty cool opportunities to get in front of some cool people. You know what I mean? And I think another thing about being down there is you don't realize how many facets of this industry there are.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have no, like, I mean, I had no idea, right? Like there's, from residential to commercial to industrial space and stuff like that, like,
cause your team does it all. You guys do everything.
Right. So Hunters is our commercial, like our commercial team out of KW and Power. We run out of the same office as Rarity, kind of run hand in hand. And, those guys like, Roche is the man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gigante, he's our Hunters guy, and like Nick Gigante, awesome guy.
Yeah.
I actually met, and dude, it's just like crazy how these like dots connect looking back, right? Because like over the summer, I go golfing, random foursome. I know one guy that's the guy, Christian Delgaza, legend. But he invites me over to go play Laurel Creek over in Jersey. And I'm like, sure. And I get linked up with Nick, and then we start talking. And the next thing I know, he starts talking about my buddy Nick Rail, who just joined Rarity. And, he mentioned Hunters and Rarity, and he was on the team too. And I was like, no way. You know what I mean? And then like one thing led to another. And then, a couple months down the road, I find myself in the same office. You know what I mean? And, it's just like awesome people, dude.
Yeah.
Like you see how many different, like those dudes are
top of the top. Yeah. Oh, they're killers. Yeah. And it's funny that you got paired with them in a random foursome that you didn't even know. Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're working with them side by side.
I feel like the longer you're in this business, in this industry, it's like you're going to start naturally connecting those dots. You're just going to start knowing people, and then you're like, oh, shoot, I met you at that open house. And then next thing you know, you're on their team or whatever. Like it's.
Plus, the smaller it gets, too. Because like I feel like since I've been in it, there's been so many people that have faces that have dropped off, right? And it's all the people that stick around after 4 or 5 years. You're like, oh, these are the guys that are actually doing business. These are the ones that are doing well.
Right.
And I've met all them now. They know who I am. They know my face. It's like coming down to your office, right? Like 3 years ago, I was trying to get in touch with Martino. I was trying to get in touch with like coming in your office, and it took 2-3 years to get down there. Now Martino and I have worked together, all this stuff, but it takes time to realize like, oh, this person actually does business. He's still in the game. He's still working on growing his, whatever it is, brand, personal image, growing his real estate business. Like they're sticking around for a while.
Right.
So it's like these dots are going to connect. Whereas if you played golf with a random foursome of half-ass realtors that didn't do anything. You never even hear about them again. You just act like it was another random foursome you got paired up with.
Yeah, and we were speaking before this, right? And I mentioned the guy Phil Maisano, and he was somebody like before I decided to do this full time, right? Like I had my license while I was still in the local.
Yep.
I remember, I started a company with a buddy of mine, and it was a general contracting company, and the intention was to do one thing led to another. But I remember I sat down with Roche. It was Roche, John Capella, and Phil was just starting.
Yeah. And how did you get that initial sit down? How did that happen? Did you have a connection?
Neighborhood guy.
Okay.
Right. Northeast guy. I knew John Capella well. He's good friends. He's still on the team. Beast.
Yeah.
He's the man. Great energy. It's funny, we did that whole basketball thing.
Oh yeah. The
Wells Fargo.
Yeah, Wells Fargo.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
And
yeah.
he's like an older dude. He went to no, I shouldn't say older.
He's probably 40. He's probably my age.
Yeah, that's probably what he is.
He went to Ryan. He played ball at Ryan, and I went to Judge, and there's always that Northeast.
That rival, yeah.
So me and him were playing against each other, dude, and this ball goes off the rim, goes trickling towards the corner, and me and him are running after it, and I'm in my head I know he's diving for this thing. I'm not letting this. So both of us simultaneously are diving on the floor. It's like a 4-on-4 pickup game.
Yeah,
dude, you know what I mean.
And meanwhile, we're not in high school anymore. Someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah,
at the Wells Fargo Center.
But we were acting like it was the NBA Finals.
Yeah, exactly. You know the 7th game of the NBA Finals, 3-3.
Dude, it was phenomenal.
That's hilarious.
But speaking of that, sorry to cut you off, but the dots that are connected, that picture came up on a couple people's Instagram that I was like, oh, I know that realtor, I know that realtor, I know that guy, that insurance guy, just from being in the business for long enough, and none of you guys were connected necessarily, except for you were there, and I was like, I know all those guys.
Yeah. And so John was the guy, again, me and John bartended together at Patty Wax for a little bit, back in the day.
Yeah.
And then, he was kind of my connection back then with Roche, and like I mentioned, I remember Phil just starting, and when I walked in this time to see, where Phil was at back then to where he's at now, was just a testament to, I think, what we talked about, community, camaraderie, team, and surrounding yourself with guys who are operating at a high level. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think coming in here and seeing Tom banging out 20 loans in a month or 25 loans a month, you're like, oh shit, how do I get to that?
Yeah. Gives you a goal.
It does.
And like I said, it's friendly competition. We're always going back with everything, literally everything, mini crossword puzzles, how many loans per month we're getting. Yeah. And it's all friendly and it's all motivating.
Put it this way. I beat them all in the office one month, right? Last November, I think I beat you guys all or something like that. And it was just, Tom had an off month, Rory had an off month, and I just came in and I crushed it. So I went out of my way and I bought a WWE belt. And when you flip it upside down, it's MM instead of WW. So I was like, Marathon Mortgage, baby. I was like, I got the belt. Who's going to take it from me? Next month, Tom took it. I've never seen. I don't think anybody's touched it since then. Yeah. He's like, oh, you want to buy a belt? All right, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's wearing it to work every day.
Yeah, absolutely. He's January banged out some crazy amount of loans. He's calling all these people. He's like, where's your loans, man? What's going on here? What's happening? I'm like, you asshole. Yeah. So that's the type of competition we got going on here.
It's funny. You mentioned crossword puzzles, and dude, this is kind of way off topic, but
no.
That's what this podcast is. Is off topic.
Sudoku.
Oh, Sudoku.
I used to do it all the time. Yeah,
dude,
I haven't done any of
I've
that
been
shit.
down a fucking rabbit hole, buddy.
Are you online? Or are you literally filling it out?
Nah, filling it out, brother. I'd lose my mind. You know what I mean? You can just erase it on your phone. But they give you 3.
When I was doing them, you had to fill them out with pencil.
In the newspaper, the Metro.
Yeah,
the Metro they used to give out at Bridge and Pratt. But dude, I go down a bad rabbit hole. The Sudoku situation.
I can't stand Sudoku. Mini crosswords I like a lot. I love puzzles. I do puzzles all day, but Sudoku, that shit where if I put in the wrong number, it's gonna throw off the whole thing, and then I have to go back and figure out where I put the number wrong. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'd smash my phone.
With the phone, you just can erase it.
Just erase it.
Good,
That's
it was never there.
Gavin does that shit. Gavin, my roommate, my real good friend from college, he does that shit. He'll do it in between sets of the gym. This dude's a huge gym rat, and he'll just he'll be lifting, and he'll be like, you gotta take 45 seconds to a minute between sets, or I don't know, fucking. And he sits on his phone, and he'll be like, 1, 7. I'm like, yo, asshole, you gonna lift the bar? What are we doing here? Yeah, that's Gavin for sure. Oh no way, not me. That's NYT mini crossword we do in here every single day. Courtney demolishes us 90% of the time, and when we get one win, we celebrate for a week.
We talk shit. For
yeah. Yeah.
It started out that whoever lost had to get coffee that day, and she just never paid for coffee.
No.
We're like, we're not doing this.
We're done paying for coffee. So we're just friendly competition. We keep track of scores and stuff. That's like a real big thing we do. So.
Yeah, that's good. I think that says a lot about the team you guys got in here, right?
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, we're super close though. That's the other thing. Like I literally dog sat for his dad this past weekend.
Yeah.
You know, like we're really close, and I think it comes with the territory of like mortgages and real estate and all this stuff. You'd even said like, hey, it's a lot more competitive, it's a lot more cutthroat like at these teams here because it's like the Wolf of Wall Street style, right? Whereas it's not cutthroat here. It's definitely cutthroat in the industry. I mean, we're sending out estimates and we're getting beat up left and right on anything. But having the support here and having like the family aspect of getting along with everybody, I was able to leave for 2.5, 3 weeks, go to the other side of the world and not have to worry about my loans getting messed up, people not settling on time, not getting leads followed up with, because like Rory and Tom will take care of all that stuff while I was away. I'm able to actually have a vacation.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's the same thing when they leave too. Like if Rory goes away, you're going to Key West in a couple weeks, right? Hopefully. It's like when you go away, like we're gonna step right in and take over and check his emails, and hey, if he has this lead, he's gonna send it to us. So it makes it so much better of an environment to work here. So it's like not only are we one of the best mortgage companies in the industry, not only are we really competitive with price and super great with processing and underwriting and like have relationships with banks, but on top of all that, we're like a family, you know.
Yeah, right.
We're super strict and kind of picky with who we take on. You know, I was probably the first person Tom hired and set before, after you, so 6 years, 5 years. And then after that, like he brought on Courtney, but Courtney's Rory's sister-in-law, so it's like just kind of real strict about it. So it makes it that much better of an industry for us because we're able to come in here, and even though we're getting beat up left and right in the market, or people are getting outbid, or it's a slow month, like we have each other kind of fall back on and look at each other and be like, oh, we'll get through this, we'll be fine. Like,
and I think like when I say cutthroat, like I mean like aggressive.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're and that's what kind of like drew me to, the team was like. I saw how aggressive these guys were. I saw how active they were, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I like this."
100%.
And again, it's like CrossFit. Like I feed off that like competitive environment where like I'm, next to somebody we're working out, and it's like pushing you along the way, and like to have that extra push on like a daily basis is, it's
1% better every day, man.
Right, dude. It's insane, and being in a room, especially with a lot of those guys, like if I have because let's face the facts, right? Like I don't think anybody in this industry knows anything, right? Especially knows everything.
Yeah.
Especially a guy like a newer agent.
Yeah.
Right. Like so, being a newer agent, you're always going to have some type of question, and I'm in a room where no matter what the scenario is. Right, like I have a resource to go to for that question. You know what I mean? No matter if it's a 100,000 square foot industrial space or, a 2-bedroom fucking row home.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the same way here too. Like,
I was gonna say that doesn't change. I mean, Tom's been in the business 30-something years, and he came out of his office and asked you something this morning, like, "Hey, you're good at this. What do you like?" That doesn't change no matter how long you've been in the business.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I've been doing this almost 4.5 years. You've been doing this.
Almost 10.
Almost 10 years.
Something like that.
9 years, yeah, something like that. And it's like, I mean, to this day, I'm always going into Tom's office. I'm like, yo, can you look this over real quick? You got 5 minutes? Or I'll call Rory over and we'll call each other over and like look at things because like, a lot more about PHFA than we do, right? Because you've closed more deals like that. Or Tom like is the Swiss Army knife. Tom knows really anything. And if he doesn't know, he's like, all right, we know this person to call to ask them to like make it happen. And I swear to God, I've closed deals that should have never closed because Tom stepped in and he's like, oh, no, you got to do this. Like, I would have never closed them anywhere else. Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, no, we'll settle on time. This is easy. Yeah. So it's super important to have those resources.
100%, dude. It's a superpower.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, like you were talking about the like going away and stuff like that and being able to go away with the confidence that, your business isn't going to lack. Yeah. Right, that's about being a team, right?
Yeah.
And I am very much the type that if I want to see you do good, you know what I mean?
100%.
I want to see because and if I can help in any way, you know what I mean, I will do so. You know what I mean? Altruistically, You know, that's just how I've been taught. You know what I mean? That's how I kind of treated my life. You know, the past, I'll say the past 9 years anyway.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It wasn't always like that, but I try to take like a very altruistic approach to this stuff. Like I will introduce you to whoever. I will try to make a connection wherever I can, and if I can help somebody along the way, like I'm going to do so.
Yeah, 100%. I think that just goes to show, though, too. I think that all kind of goes in, not to get like spiritual or deep or anything, but like into the karma aspect of things, right? It's like if you're a good person, you help people out. It's like it's going to swing back around in ways you might not even know you need it. So just be a good person.
Well, even to touch on that, like the spiritual thing, like, not too many people talk about that. You want to talk about it on a real estate podcast? Sure, I'll talk about it on
Yeah, go ahead. Go right ahead.
You know what I mean? But like, there's rarely a time where I don't wake up in the morning, get on my knees and pray.
Yeah.
Right. And there's not a time before I go to bed where I brush my teeth and I'm not on my knees, praying before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when I fail to do those things, right, and I'm not saying it's perfect all the time, but when I fail to do those things, I become an egomaniac real fucking quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I start thinking that like I'm King Kong and I can run around. And like once you take that pressure on, right? Like I think it's tough for any human being to run around like thinking they have control of every person,
100%
every situation. And
yeah.
Especially in this industry.
Yeah, totally. And I think this industry can get your head real quick too.
Yeah, for sure.
Close $1 million, $2 million deal, you're like, top of the world, baby. And the next month you can't get shit closed. You're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So it
humbles you real quick.
Humbles you real quick.
Sure.
And the biggest thing I learned that I helps me a lot is just being super appreciative. Like I wake up and I like try and think like, life's beautiful. I got all this stuff going for me. Like I'm just happy, right? Even though I don't got deals going on or this or that or the other thing, like I'm just happy. I woke up, I'm feeling good. I got a good like place I live at. I have good friends. Whatever. I'm just happy. You know what I mean? I just try and be happy and appreciative. And so what? Like if deals come, they come. If they don't, they don't. Like I'm out working. It's not like I'm not doing stuff, but I'm just trying to be more appreciative and like mindful of that stuff.
Yeah, I try to, and dude, like I really try to show like gratitude, right? Like
yeah,
I was taught to me that like gratitude's an action word. You know what I mean?
Okay, I like that.
Gratitude's something I do. It's the way I treat people, right? And it's the way I treat myself. And like there's dude, I tell you what, like for the opportunity to be able to take this step in my life and take on this new venture and try this new career, whatever the case may be, like I have so much respect for the guys that I used to work with, and I think to myself, like I was waking up some of those days, it's fucking 3 degrees outside.
Dude,
I'd be like, dude, like I'm grateful that I have the opportunity today to like go
100%.
sit in a warm office.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times where I spent like 20 stories up in a high rise with no windows, and
I thought about that so much this winter when it was so cold and so windy, and you would pass somebody and you'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah, like that's definitely a different type of grind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I tell him all the time, comparison is the thief of joy, but you can also use that as a tool. Like, as long as you're not always comparing yourself to the highest level of, that.
Yeah, because I get very well caught. Like, I get caught up sometimes. You know what I mean? Thinking to myself, like, I got to remember that the dudes that are closing 30 million a year, like, didn't start off closing 30 million.
No.
And I'm like, oh my god, like he's doing what? Like, all right, let me do this. You know what I mean? And
you could ask him. I'm in the same boat. Yeah. Like I get like I see somebody closing something like that or doing these numbers. I'm like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And then Tom's like, stop comparing your 4th year to my 20th year, dude. Like,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But there is a tool there that you can use to compare, and not compare, but like at least like use it as gratitude. Like, hey, I'm not out in 3-degree weather.
Yeah, right.
20-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I get to do this. I get to sit in this office. I get to, and then, hey, I still got to work my ass off. Like they are. But
my dad used to come home. I'll never forget it. He used to come home and he'd be like, he'd have like cracks down his hand from his hands being so dry, and they'd be bleeding. He's like, yeah, you want to work outside? He's like, this is what working outside does, bro. Being a carpenters union. He's like, you want this shit, huh? He's like, go to school, and he's like, stay away from all the stuff I did when I was a kid. He's like, you'll be good. Yeah. And it's like, and I'm grateful. I often think about that too. Like just we're talking about being grateful and appreciative. I think about my parents. Like my parents didn't have shit when I was growing up, and they got divorced, and they like, went through a lot. My mom was working 3 jobs. My dad was, broke his back, all this stuff. So like the fact that they still went ahead and they sent me to a nice school, and they did like, whatever they could to get me into college. And they're like, yo, when I got to college, they're like, we can't pay for this, but like we'll figure it out, and then we're gonna show you how to pay for it. And then I worked 3 jobs, and like I didn't understand a lot of that stuff until I actually started working here, and I like looked back, and I'm like, oh shit, they really did take care of me a lot, you know, and they went through all this shit to put me into a nice school and to get me these opportunities. And the reason I'm sitting here right now is because they did all that stuff, you know, and I'm just like super grateful about that. And I often think about that now too. So just being appreciative, man.
Yeah.
Being happy. Yeah.
It goes a long way, dude.
Oh,
it goes
100%.
a long way because like, and I think you guys know as well as I know, like we work in a service-based industry, right? So an industry where like I am interacting with people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't sacrifice days where, you know, I'm like sitting in my shit.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it's just not.
No.
Yeah, it moves too fast. You might miss
Like
the deal of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss an opportunity. You know what I mean? So like trying to wake up, and I think like we kind of touched on it early too, like circling back to like the morning routine and setting myself up for success. And you know, sometimes you know it can get a little hectic, and you can get out of that routine, and like it starts to feel chaotic. And when it starts to feel like that, I got to remind myself to like reel it back in.
Yeah, bring it back to what worked.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You know what I mean?
I think I'm at that point right now. I'm like, I gotta get back to the gym. I gotta get back to it. Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Did you get it checked out or anything? Or
No.
I figured, but I was like,
dude,
might as well ask. But
Nah, I'll walk around on it. I'll like hope for the best. You know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
go try to swing a golf club for
It'll
4
heal.
hours. Yeah, it'll
you'll be
work.
Let's go to Mexico, get some stem cells. You'll be good in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, sign me up, brother.
dude, yeah, that'd actually be pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of golf, we'll have to talk after this actually a little bit because I got some clubs I'm looking at ordering. That's one of my goals this year. I was like, everybody talks about going out golf and everybody does golf, and like my friends, I was like Jack, Martino, Ronan, like all these guys are like, yo, we should go out golfing or we should do this or let's like walk 9. I'm like, bro, I'm so ass. I don't want to. Like I got like a hand-me-down set, so I said fuck it. I'm like, I'm getting the Callaway, like you like use Callaway.com or CallawayPreowned.com or something like that. My friends like showed me which ones to buy. I'm like, screw it. I think I'm gonna pull the trigger on these, and like that's gonna be my goal this year is to go out more.
It's a sick path, buddy.
It's
It's a sick path, brother. I'm gonna tell you right now. You know.
And it ain't cheap either. So if you're trying to save money this year, that ain't the way to do it.
I know.
Yeah, I was a member at Lulu's right around the corner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was a member there for a couple years. I was a member of Philmont for a couple years, and Lulu's awesome. Like, but I mean, I got it pretty bad. Now I'm America's guest. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Try to.
Yeah. Whoever got guest passes though, hit me up.
Yeah, I love, dude. It is really. There's not too many feelings that like greater than just like hitting like a flush iron. You know what I mean? Like a really flush like 7-iron
Right onto the green.
90 yards out, you know, and you hit it and you look at the ball flight and it's like
As soon as
It's
you hit
happening.
it, you know it's good.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I drove a ball one time like really well. Like we were out playing 18 with my buddies, and it just connected. It was like the 9th or 10th hole. It connected. It went like 270 like straight, and I was like, holy shit! I just did. They were all. Everybody was like, oh my god! They were shocked because it's normally like to the right or to the left, and the woods is gone, whatever. And then when I did it straight, they're like, huh? I was like, whoa, yeah. I was like, whoa, it felt good.
And it only takes that one to keep you coming back.
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I mean?
the issue. Yeah.
Yeah, like, dude. I mean, I hit my first hole in one in first and only.
Personally, yeah.
Not like I'm not trying to sit here and say I have multiple, but I can't. I would like to have multiple.
Yeah.
One day.
I hit one. My first hole in one I hit in Arizona. It was on a Palmer course. It was called Wildfire. It was like, dude, I'll never forget it. It was 100. It was 138 yards to the stick.
So par 3.
Par 3.
Yep.
Little bit of wind behind this. I had. I knew pitch and wedge was too much. I grabbed my 50-degree wedge because I knew I'd rather be a little short than a little long. Pin was tucked in the back. I hit this thing and it comes off the club face, and I'm like, oh my god, that was flush. I'm like, that was the best shot I hit all day. And I'm looking at this ball in the air, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, this has a shot.
It's happening. It's happening.
And then all you heard was like a one hop,
Ding.
and I was like, we all like stood on the tee box like. You know what I mean? I'm like, get in the fucking car. I'm like, get in the car. Dude, we go up there, dude. It was so nuts, dude. Next tee shot, it was in somebody's bowl. You know what I mean?
That's a good metaphor for this industry too, right? Like you can have a killer month, and the next month you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Golf is therapy, buddy. You know what I mean? It's expensive
100%.
therapy 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Not one.
Dude,
Well, if you
it
can
is.
flip it into some business, at least it's you can
You
justify it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure I'll just justify it as like I'm just getting better at golf. That
It can be two things at once.
It's a slippery slope for sure, but I think I'm starting to slide down that slope too.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
It's a healthy hobby.
Yeah, my roommate actually, he's in law school, and his like I don't know, they get these mentors or whatever. I have no idea, but he went to Aronimink recently in golf there. Yeah, and he was like,
Unbelievable.
he was like, yeah, I'm nowhere near as good to be playing at Aronimink, but it was insane. He was sending me pictures. I was like, damn, this is what people do. Invite only, like crazy.
Dude,
yeah.
regardless, I think regardless if you're good or not, right? Like, imagine just walking out onto, some of the most beautiful landscape you've ever seen in your entire life.
Like Pebble Beach. Like I look at Pebble Beach and I'm like, I would pay $500 just to kind of like go there and hang out for a day, And that's exactly what that is. It's like I'm not going to be shooting 75 or 70 at Pebble Beach, but like it's on the cliffside, the ocean's right there. It's unbelievable.
I've been there.
Have you? Oh yeah, I forget you lived in California.
And Torrey in San Diego.
Pines. Yeah,
I mean, I
Torrey
haven't
Pines
played.
is sick.
I've been to both.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate it like you guys would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, in Pebble Beach, you can drive through it. Like,
Oh yeah.
you don't have to pay $500 to be there.
We got
I would pay $500. I
Yeah.
think the greens fee is actually something crazy.
I don't know. I know in Torrey Pines,
Probably.
you can't even you need to be a citizen,
You have to be
a
a
local.
local.
Yeah, you have to have like a San Diego driver's license.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Did you have a San Diego driver's license while you were out there?
I lived there for 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, just
I guess yeah.
skirting the system.
You got to get. Yeah, I just figured you were like renewing out here. That's what I would have done probably. But
No, I didn't know if I was ever coming back when I moved there. I'm like,
fair enough. Yeah. You did
so
live out
I
there
flipped
forever.
everything within 3 months. I was like,
All right.
yeah.
Later.
Plus, I wanted to look cool when I came back home and like flashed a California ID at the bar.
Yeah.
I was 22 years old. Like, check me out.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
um,
Anything else you want to
So,
touch on?
I mean, so you've been in 4.5 years. You've been in business, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've been in business.
it's 2016, so it'll be nine years in May.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Let me ask you something. Like, how have these past 2 years been in comparison
Brutal.
to your?
Brutal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is it came off of well, you didn't have this because you just started, but I had 2 really good years when rates were low and we were doing so many refis a month. So coming off of that high to this, it was even more.
I mean, give
like,
them numbers. Like, what do you think you were closing in 2021?
I don't even know.
Oh, like 100 loans, 100 plus.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So you go from doing 100 plus. Tom was probably doing 200 plus loans.
Yeah, you're probably down 50%.
Yeah. So you're like, you cut that in half. Like cut 50, like he's doing like probably like 50, 60 loans a year, and Tom's probably doing maybe 100 a year.
Yeah, I don't even know, but yeah, I mean, think 50% of. Just think about it in your terms. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
right.
I sold whatever X amount of million.
Well, I have nothing to compare it to.
Well, I'm
That's
just saying
what-
in general,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I sold, 20 million this year or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's 10. You're like,
So it's like all these
took a pay
type-
cut, and you're mentally stressed.
Yeah.
And like I'm in the same boat too, where I joined and it was like the top of the top, and I'm watching them do 30, 40 loans a month, and I'm like, damn, this is gonna be awesome. I get my license, I start like closing a couple deals. I'm like, oh, this is like shooting fish in a barrel, right? And then next thing you know, it was just I watched it like every month, like tick down, tick down, tick down, tick down, tick down, and rates just go up, 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 up. And these like titans of the industry that are watching are starting to struggle to get business. So the past 2 to 3 years have by far been, I'd say 23 was probably the worst year, and 22 was like getting into the worst year. It's 23, and then last year was a little bit better.
Since 22, each year's been better.
Yeah. So like 22 and 23 were probably the most brutal years, I think, in the entire, statistically speaking, I think they were the worst years ever on record.
Yeah.
For like worse than 08. Like Tom's been in it since 2001 or 99 or something. Tom's been doing loans out in Arizona.
I mean, almost 30 years.
So
Probably,
he's seen probably 3 or 4 crashes, and he's like, this is the longest, most brutal one for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and
We're digging out though. Like I said, each
Yeah.
year has been a little bit better, and quite honestly, it's like I'm learning a lot from the downtime.
Yeah.
Like just how I can utilize my time better, how I can get around more, my arms around more realtors, how I can be more creative with marketing myself.
Right.
I mean, that's why we started the podcast, because we were all slow and didn't have any business. We're like, and no one was in offices. Like, I used to go into real estate offices and meet people. It's like, no one's there anymore.
Yeah, right.
Nor will they be ever again, I don't think. So it's like,
that's the one thing. That's the one thing I'll say about Rarity is that, like, dude, like, there's people in that office every day.
yeah,
Like,
it's
Jim's
literally
in
a
that
rarity.
office. Like, dude, Jim's in that office every day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that, nothing more fires me up than that. You know what I mean? To see this dude who's just coming into the office, like, and takes that much pride in, like, you know, what he's, the mission he's on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, that's enough to fire me up. You know what I mean? And
I mean, we say it all the time. I think, I mean, having the community, you obviously like a community. Same thing with us. Like, I couldn't just work from home. Like, I wouldn't be as successful. I wouldn't be as motivated. Yeah.
I go nuts.
There's too many other things to get distracted by. When we're here, it's like, we're working, we're having fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
literally anything.
Yeah, so we're in here every single day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
This is like what we do.
That's the best, dude. I think that's,
And during COVID, it was proven that we didn't need to be in this office, but it's good for everybody.
right.
So.
Yeah, I think that's it gives me a little bit more of an insight too, right? Because, like, you know, being newer to the industry and, like, you know, trying to start my business, right, and, like, build a foundation. You know, I again see guys, like, operating at a high level, and it's like, you know, like you were talking about, like, people say it's slow, but I also see people doing a lot of business.
Some people had their best year last year.
Yeah.
I talked to some realtors. They're like,
And
yeah, killed it.
Yeah,
I mean, I had my best year last year. I doubled my business from 23 to 24.
Yeah.
So it's like I had a really good year last year. I still think it was brutal. So it's like the foundation you and I are building right now, right? Like we're kind of in the same boat where we started in a really difficult time, and it just kind of happens that, like, there's always business to be had. My dad always said that to me. He's like, there's always business out there. You just have to go get it, right? So last year, I doubled my production from 23 to 24. And, like, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm going out and getting it. So our foundation is so much stronger right now that we're building.
Right.
Because in 5 years, when the market's better and there's new people getting in and there's all this stuff, you're a familiar face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've been in it for 5
made it
years.
through the hard part.
You made it through the hard part. Yeah, you got all these people you can call now. You got connections. You have networks. You have all this stuff. So, like, when somebody's calling you and they're like, yo, Jack, I spoke to this other realtor, but, like, they didn't really have an answer. You got an answer to this? You're like, boom. Yeah, I know who to call.
Yeah,
I got this. So, like, the foundation we have now is so much stronger for when this market actually does turn and it becomes an easier market. Because regardless if you're doing business or not, it's a hard market.
Yeah, it's tough.
So it's like, when this turns and it becomes a better market for buyers or whatever it ends up being, it's like you're ready to rock and roll. You know?
I think that's like you talked about, like, foundation and everything like that. And I kind of told myself, people were like, dude, you're getting into real estate now?
Yeah.
Like, what's you know, it's, and to be honest with you, like, the mindset I took going into that was, I knew if I can make it now, I know I can make it.
Yep. I tell him all the time.
And that was my, you know, when I decided to take this on, it was, I wanted to make it a year. You know what I mean? And in November, it was a year. And now it's like, all right, like, we got a year, now, like, do it again.
Yeah.
Just think about think about what a different person you were a year ago to November.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I can do that again. I can learn that much more. I can build my business that much more. Like,
Yeah,
there's just so
like,
much to learn.
If I look back on it, you know, like, from this time last year, you know, my business has tripled. You know,
100%.
Yeah.
and by, you know, showing up and working hard and, like, doing things. And I think, you know, one thing I get on myself about is, like, you know, like, the little mistakes you might make here and there, you know, but remembering that, like, all this is still like a learning experience, and, like, not every deal is going to be perfect.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, they rarely are.
But, like, I'll share, dude. I mean, I know we're probably trying to wrap up now, but, like, I'll share, you know, a story. Like, I have a settlement tomorrow, right? It's a really good friend.
Mm-hmm.
And him and his wife, she's pregnant. And
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
That's my boy.
Yeah,
They're
dude.
my people.
Yeah, you love it. You guys
And,
are like best friends.
Dude, we go out and we're. I remember Lex sent me a house right over in Jersey. Like, they were looking over in Jersey, and she sends me this house, and it just went up on the market, right? And I'm like, all right. So I tried to schedule a showing time for Saturday, and we were going out to see a couple other properties. Liked one of them, but it was whatever. But she really wanted to see this house.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's go check it. I was like, I can set something up for Sunday. I was like, let's go try to kill two birds with one stone at least while we're over here. So I do a little digging, and I realized that there was this other house that popped up. You know what I mean? Kind of close. It was probably 8 minutes from the other one, and you know, it didn't even come up on the radar. But I was like, yo, let's pop over there, see what's going on.
Yeah.
So we walk into this house, and dude, they, like, fall in love. They're like, oh my god, like, this is. And then we go to the other house, and not so excited. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know, in my honest opinion, first glance, I was just like, you know, the other house kind of, I don't know, might have made a little more sense, but
Yeah.
like we all kind of couldn't stop talking about the first house that we saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get home and we're talking. I reach out to, you know, he has a relationship with Reversa.
Oh yeah.
So me and him go back and forth, and we're talking, and we come up with the idea and like how we're going to structure this deal and like how we're going to structure the offer to kind of make it clean, and you know, we put our best foot forward. Right now, I get an email. We put that in on Wednesday. Friday night, I get an email from the listing agent, and he sends me over a screenshot of this other offer that he got, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, we're fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and then, dude, you know, I don't know how, you know what I mean? But like Saturday night, like after a couple conversations with this guy, and I truly feel like it's just like like people doing business with people. You know, we had a couple conversations, you know, kind of gave him some reassurance on a few things, you know, and how our deal was structured. And Saturday night, I get a phone call, dude, and I was at the dinner. I was right around the corner. I was at Nemi, right around the corner from my house. I'm like, you know, halfway through this case a day, and I'm like, I gotta take this. And I run outside, and I'm on the phone with them, dude, and I was like in tears. You know what I mean? Because I knew how happy they were gonna be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And like, it just goes to show you, like, you know, it's competitive, but like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like I said, I think people just do business with people.
Absolutely. And now you got a deal. Are you selling their house right now too? You just got it under contract with Josh?
Nah, that was another buddy of mine.
That was another buddy. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I sold their house was around the corner. That was that was Red Road.
Yeah.
Another buddy, Josh.
Yeah, Josh Farley. Yeah.
Oh, Josh.
That's funny.
Past podcast guy.
Past podcast guy. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, he's that was Essex. That was Essex Lane. That house was fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Nice.
That
dude.
house was really nice. Buddy of mine. I feel like you always know when you walk into like a carpenter's house.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like everything's like the crown molding and like the baseboards all look straight and they're like
100%. Yeah. I remember putting up crown molding with my dad. That's a story for another time, but that stuff is brutal. I hate crown molding. But
cuts.
oh yeah, no.
You lose me there, but
Yeah. But no, that's good. That's a good way to leave it off with a positive. That's a win. We were gonna say that's a big win.
That's
you know what I mean?
Win.
That's a huge
as
win.
brutal as this market has been, you know what I mean, and like all the horror stories you might hear, people losing deals, like. Dude, there's, you know.
Beautiful things still happen, baby.
Yeah. And as long as you appreciate them, you'll be able to keep going.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think that's a good theme of this podcast right there. Good.
All right.
Thanks
for coming back on, man.
Jack.
Got you on for longer this time. We appreciate it.
Man.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in. Appreciate
Pleasure,
it.
dude.
Happy Friday. Happy hour.
Friday.
And enjoy your weekend.
Woo.
Negative beverages, the devil's piss, states evidence. Give us anything instead of this drama in the mirror light.